Okay, so this is week 6 of Future of Cities, and this week's module is all about technology. The first article, I'm going to talk about the transformation of urban America. This article talks about waves of technology innovation and how the level of waves, each level or each wave brings around uh, a new shape of society. The first wave was pre-industrial, involved agricultural technology advancements leading to food cultivation, domestication of animals. This led to people starting stationary societies, and the second wave was the Industrial Revolution. It brought a new technology based on production. It saw cities with economies based off merchants become production centers. It's brought many physical changes. Factories, railroads were improved. People started living near the factories where they work. So the third wave, post-industrial, is where countries turn into high-tech societies. This is the wave of technological advancement that allows faster communication, more information being shared, more collaboration, and more investment in innovation. So advancements in communication and transportation technology has changed the structure of regional economies and metropolitan areas, and has transformed from being a monocentric regional model where the city core dominates everything to a polycentric model based on suburban clustering and to a network pattern. So the second article is revisiting the social life of small urban places. This talks about how plazas have always been important locations in the city for people to congregate. Uh, Plazas are now using more high-tech technology like heat maps of human movement, where people stay, where they stand, how they move, and this lets us know um, how we occupy public spaces. It's helpful to know for people planning this type of location. And also a side note from this article, I found the view filler idea really interesting. How despite normally when we're in a crowded place, we'll disperse evenly. If there's a height involved, everyone seems to gather at the high point with a view available, even if it might be inconvenient to get there. So for the video geographies of the future, the digital world has created a virtual space for interactions with its own landscape of activities. Now, online, you can find a relation space through modern technology and social media. Places are linked to other places and regions in a global context and are highly interdependent. These big global cities all depend on each other now. Information spaces are made up of data points, and as the video put it, data is the new oil. We know we're all leaving a constant data trail, which is being farmed, and as well as constantly we're on camera. This is what they call surveillance capitalism, especially prevalent in urban spaces or smart cities. Next is Ghost Road Beyond Driverless Cars, which is the lecture by Anthony Townsend. I thought this was a pretty interesting lecture. Basically, it talked about how some of our oldest technological dreams are self-driving vehicles, from flying carpets to self-steering boats, and it's a technology that we've been working on since cars came around, and we got it. They first achieved something vaguely self-driving in the 90s, but then Google got involved, and now it's quite the prevalent thing. Everyone knows about the idea of self-driving cars. Everyone knows someone with a Tesla, and the thing is, this lecture is about we shouldn't just be thinking about self-driving cars. There's lots of other vehicles which the self-automated can apply to, such as bicycles, trucks, buses for transportation, and much more. And in China, they're working on cyber chairs, which kind of reminds me of the chairs from the movie WALL-E, where people would just get driven around in these big chairs everywhere, and they all became fat and lazy. And it's interesting because while the automation of everything is great in theory, it does lead to some problems, and more realistically than the one I just brought up, making technology with the idea to have it automated for us to move us places, it goes directly against the idea of having walkable cities, which is one of the biggest prevalent ideas in regional planning. So for Techno City or Dudes Where My Air Car, well, this article talks a great deal about fantasies and future technology and how some common technology we have today is beyond what science writers in the past could have come up with. The most important part of this article, in my opinion, was the idea of the end of the future, where cities have stopped rapidly changing and life-changing technology has become stagnant. The idea acknowledges that technology is still improving, changing things such as data collection in new ways, but points out that data isn't being used to create anything new or exciting concepts. It's just being used to improve old concepts, improve upon old things. And even something like Zoom, it's just an improvement of Skype, which has been around since 2003, which is just an improvement from instant messaging, which is around just in the early 90s. So that's something that got me thinking. For the prospects of artificial intelligence in urban planning has always used forms of advanced programs such as the Geographic Information System or the Database Management System. The idea of implementing AI intelligence has always been around, but there's some issues that are better solved with algorithms and some that aren't. AI systems could get rid of biased behavior-based planning given that the data is not biased, because data is the limiting factor for artificial intelligence. But another big problem is that planning issues are often wicked by nature, meaning that statistically the best thing to do isn't always the right thing to do. There are real people and real groups of people who can be hurt by the actions that are taken in a wicked problem, even if statistically it's the best economic move or something like that. If planners are willing to adapt and accept progression of AI programs, solving problems once they are advanced enough to tackle wicked problems, it's more than likely they'll be implemented on a regular basis in the future. So, rounding out with Mon Oncle, the review of the French movie. One of the backdrops of the movie was the clash between an old classic French neighborhood, which was urban, and an ultra modern house, which was absurdly it was one of the backdrops of the movie was this old classic French neighborhood, which was quite urban, contrasted against an ultra modern house that seemed to be more suburban, where the purpose of this ultra modern house is absurdity being replaced with rational efficiency, although it's so rational and efficient that it is absurd. It's the quaint old neighborhood that's crumbling versus modern conformity taking over, and not necessarily for the best.